Hi everybody. The subject of today's video is viewfinders and how to use them. Alright, so I have actually a painting right here. This is by Fragonard, but just for the sake of learning how to use this, let us pretend that this is an actual person sitting in front of me reading a book, and here's my canvas, and I'm going to talk about how to use one of these to translate what you see here onto your canvas. Alright, so if there's a person or anything really, a still life, anything in front of you, try to visualize it in a two-dimensional format for how it's going to look on your painting. It's these days, like if you have a still life, you can use your phone and you could take a picture, and then in the photograph on your phone you can pinch and zoom and crop and try to visualize it that way, right? But when you're working from a live model, in the studio setting, you are not allowed to take photographs of them, right? So this is what we used in the days before we all just had cameras in our pockets. All right, so let's say this is a person. Now I have a 3x4 window cut out of this viewfinder, and that is because this canvas that I have over here is 12 by 16 inches, all right? So it's really important that whatever size canvas you're going to be working on, you have a shape, a window cut out of your viewfinder that is the same proportions, right? So 3x4 is the same proportion as 12 by 16, right? If you have a 16 by 20 inch canvas, that is a 4x5 ratio in which you would want this cut differently, right? It would be a little bit extra over here. If you have one of these and you want to change the proportions of it, an easy way to fix that. Right, so I have a piece of tape. It doesn't have to be white. It could be any color of tape. Now, you can see that if I put this window on there, it's pretty much the same size, right? If you had a 16 by 20 inch canvas, you could you could visualize this through there, and if you want this to be a little bit different proportion, you can take the tape and go like this, right? So you can see I taped off some of it, and that's an easy fix to change the dimensions of this, right? If you have a square canvas and a viewfinder that looks like this, it's easy enough to just take this tape and go like this. So you have a window that is the same size as not same size, obviously, but the same shape as your canvas. All right, so back to this. Again, we are pretending that this is a real live person sitting in the studio in front of me, and I'm using this viewfinder to try to compose my painting, right? So you can bring this closer to your eye to zoom out. You can bring it farther away from your eye. Now you need to do this with one eye closed, okay? So this is not gonna work with both eyes open, right? So one eye closed, and you can really just try to zoom in and out to see, if you want a vertical or horizontal composition. Do we want to include the book, right, that she's reading? So this is what it might look like if I had, now you can see it's kind of annoying how my hand is trembling all over. That's just something you're gonna have to deal with your own hand when you do this, right? You can brace your hand on your easel or something to make it slightly less obnoxious, all right? So I'm, trying to think, do I want to include the book? Do I want to just do a portrait? Do I want to do it this way? How would it look if I had it this way, right? So this is how we're gonna use this. Now, how to transfer this onto your canvas, right? So I think what I'm going to do is something vertical like this, right? With the book, with the face, right? I'm not going to, all that stuff doesn't interest me in this painting, right? Now I'm going to talk about how to put it on the canvas. So it's always handy to have a pencil with you when we're doing this, right? So I am looking through here, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking at the space between her hair and the back of my window, right? And I'm just gonna line this up. I'm gonna say I have my pencil clicked out. If I have this right there, I'm gonna say the book, see where the book, how close it comes to the edge over there, right under halfway down, right? I'm looking through this and I'm gonna be like, boop, boop. That's the mark for where the book goes. And you can make whatever marks you want around here. All right, so I've zoomed out here to include my canvas. Remember, my canvas is 16 by 20. I got my 3x4 window here. Now, I am looking through this and I am trying to concentrate on, okay, do I want that arm down there? Let's make it simple. we only have 3 days for this, let's not include the arm. So I'm gonna have something like this. Now I'm looking at this space, I'm looking at the space between the back of her head, right, and the top of the back of her head, the back of the canvas, the top of the canvas. Now I'm looking at that spot over here, and I'm just gonna go here, all right, and make a couple marks for myself, right? I'm putting this back over here again, and I'm just, trying to zoom in and out. All right, I'm looking at, if I had a line through corner to corner, I'm noticing her head, her chin would kind of rest on that line, right? So I'm thinking like, okay, here's the bun. The head is gonna be somewhere like this, right? Now, I'm gonna do this again, and I'm just gonna contemplate how big her head is in the scheme of my canvas, right? Now I'm looking at that, the book. Where does the book end up? A little under halfway. So if halfway is here, right, I'm gonna say book, is kind of over here, abouts, okay? I'm looking at the, let's see, elbow kind of goes, if I'm looking through here, elbow kind of ends up over, over here. So here's halfway, that is gonna be kind of like that. All right, I'm looking at the little bit of like where the shoulder, see the C7 goes right about halfway down. So here. All right, so this is what using this is for, to, there's a whole, we're sitting in a studio with a model and all kinds of stuff, and there's so much around. This is really to help you visualize this and try to just help you get started on this. Now, if anybody wants to get a little bit fancy with their viewfinder, what I've done here is found the center, cut a tiny little notch in the top, bottom, and sides, and fitted a string through those notches and taped it on the back. And what this does is approximates a little bit of a grid for you. All right, so that is just another reference point to help you when you're doing this. So what I'm gonna do, so anybody who's drawn with the grid before will know how this works. I'm just using, I'm using my paintbrush to find what looks like the center here. And just lightly giving myself a little crosshairs, all right? So you don't have to use a ruler for this, you can. I'm just moving this up and down till I feel like I have found the center. There we go. So now I have some center lines, and this, now I'm bringing this back in to where let's see, I have head, back of hand, now I'm looking at this and I can see, okay, her chin is basically on that center point. So I'm putting that chin here. All right, and then let's see, bringing this up here. Here's how we go. Now I can see the upper quadrant, upper right, and I'm trying to look at how much of her head and bun kind of take up that upper quadrant like that. Okay, so I can see the forehead. Okay, let's see. The chin is actually, I had this in the wrong place before. The chin is actually here, right? The head kind of goes here, forehead leans this way, head kind of bun, that happening, right? We have this. All right, I'm trying to look for the like breastbone area and stuff. Let's see. Getting this back to where it goes. I'm gonna say the hand and book kind of coming this way. It's always good to have a frame of reference for yourself to help get this back into the same thing every time. I'm gonna say the arm kind of comes this way. Okay, so there's kind of like my basic composition before I would get started on here, and this is how to use the viewfinder in order to help you set it up. It is, like I've done this quite a few times, and the most difficult thing is to, keep your hand from like going like this or putting it back into the same spot every time you look at it. So it's always a good idea to give yourself a little, get out your pencil. And if you make these marks, like, okay, the bun is going to line up, here each time, and I'm going to line up the elbow, this part of the arm, here and here, right? That can help you kind of put this in the same spot. Okay, you make your observation, you step over, make your mark with your brush, right? So I don't recommend looking through this the whole time you're painting, but definitely the first day, you're first sitting with your model, to just try to get this set up, get it composed, get these big spaces like between there, figure all of this stuff out. Once you get it, then you can just turn your attention to observing the model. I'll usually have this on my easel, like if I paint for an hour or two and then think like, oh, something is not right over here. Is the hand too big, compared to the face, or did I, is something weird? I will pull this out and check again, kind of go back to the basics and check for composition and things like that. But there is a certain point when, after I get the setup, where I will just kind of set this aside and then just, start doing the fun stuff.